All right, good morning, everyone. We are going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank you all for joining us. This is our 7th annual GeoFlo Summit, and we are very happy to be here at the Pinellas County Extension Office. And we thank you all for coming out here. For those of you that don't know me, I am Ashley Snyder. I am the GeoFlo president. I am also one of the chapter leads for the Tampa Bay chapter, Women in GIS. And I am a GIS data curator at the University of South Florida facilities. We've got a great lineup for you today. We've got some presenters in the morning. We'll have a coffee break, a few more presenters, lunch, and then an afternoon session as well. So for those of you in person, please stick around because at the end of the event, we do have several raffles. And thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to Kelly Nitzman. She's going to be introducing our presenters today.
Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. Our first presenter today is Matt Adams. He is a solution engineer at Esri, empowering local governments to do more with GIS. Based in St. Augustine, Florida, Matt works closely with organizations in Florida and throughout the Southeast, focusing on real-time GIS, drones, public safety, and GeoAI. He holds a Master of Science in Geographic Information Systems Technology from the University of Arizona and a Bachelor's in Meteorology with minors in GIS and Emergency Management from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. Please welcome Matt.
Thanks, Kelly. Morning, everyone. Thank you, Kelly, for the introduction. So today I want to talk through some of the advancements that we've made with our AI assistants at Esri. ArcGIS is advancing, and we really are trying to incorporate new technologies to meet the emerging needs. AI is one of those examples that you can see here where it's being infused across various capabilities throughout the ArcGIS system. GIS is being enhanced with AI, and our strategic vision for ArcGIS is to deliver transformational value to organizations as we enhance GIS with these AI technologies. Like you see here, there are various areas of mapping and spatial analytics that leverage AI across the ArcGIS platform. And our goal is to eventually leverage AI across all aspects of mapping and analytics while maintaining that rigorous geographic context and accuracy. So let's take a look at what some of the value is that AI brings to ArcGIS. And there's really 3 key ways that this is being done. The automation of spatial tasks.
You're not showing your screen to the Zoom meeting.
Oopsies. Sorry, everyone online. Let's get this. Oh, there we go.
Awesome. Thank you.
So the first one is really the automation of spatial tasks. This has been around for quite a while through our GeoAI tools and even just AI-driven geoprocessing tools. They can help you extract feature information from imagery data. Another way is for performing analysis like vegetation encroachment from point cloud data. And then next and last, increasing productivity using AI assistance for mapping and visualization of your data. So let's talk about some of these advancements in AI assistance. We are exploring the benefits of these generative AI technologies to help streamline the user experience of ArcGIS. AI assistants will leverage the power of AI to streamline those everyday tasks and make it easier for users to perform analysis, generate data, and even generate Survey 123 forms and other GIS tools. A number of assistants are currently in the works and are becoming more available for early adopters. With the November 2024 update, we released quite a few AI assistants, like the Business Analyst Assistant, Survey 123 Assistant, and others. So let's take a look at what kind of this release plan looks like. I know this goes a little bit in the past, so you're seeing some of these available now, but looking ahead to 2020, this past year, and then going into 2026, we've got quite a few assistants for translation, story maps, Arcade, Hub, and even Python coming out in the near future. So what does it mean when AI assistants are in preview, like the Survey 123 and Business Analyst Assistant? It means that they're going to be fully documented, functionally complete, and can have tech support provided. They're available at no additional cost at this point, but there may be a credit cost associated in the future. I am not aware of exactly how that will look. So AI assistance is an organizational setting. So let's take a look at how you can enable this for your users. So in your ArcGIS Online org, an administrator would need to go to the Organization tab. Go to the Settings. And on the left-hand side, you'll see this AI Assistance option. At this point, AI assistants are an opt-in for the organization, so it's not going to be turned on by default. An administrator would need to go in and check this box to allow the use of AI assistants by users within the organization. From this page, you can also get to our AI assistants documentation, which will talk through all of the available AI assistants and how to use them. So the first assistant I'd like to go over in a little bit more detail is the documentation assistant. So this is available in beta and is available across all of the ArcGIS Online and all of our documentation on the Esri website. This assistant will go through and look for any pertinent documentation, white papers, conference videos, anything related to your question, and provide you back a cohesive answer. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So in our documentation site, as you're signed in to a user that has access to the AI assistants, you will see this AI assistant option in the bottom right corner of your screen. We can open this up, seed, and now we're able to start asking questions in natural language to the assistant to find out more about a problem that we're having within the Esri ecosystem. So let's start with something simple. Tell me about the recycle bin. So the assistant will now comb through all of those various resources that are authoritative and try to answer this question to the best of its ability. This will drastically save time combing through various documentation sites and trying to find the answers to your question. Very quickly, the assistant provides us with answers to our questions. So the ArcGIS recycle bin is a temporary holding location for most item types within the organization when they're deleted. It's not just giving you links, it's giving you a full natural language description of the question that you asked of it. You can also expand the references to view all of the documentation that it pulled from to answer this question. So You can get started here and then continue to go look through documentation, conference videos, whatever it may be. But the conversation's not over there. Maybe your question wasn't fully answered. You can continue to ask questions either from the example prompts that are provided or just by typing additional questions into the question box. While it's loading this one, you also have the ability to copy this full answer. So if you need to maybe send this answer to someone else in the organization, you can quickly copy all of the text and drop it right into an email or a Teams message. Something I'd like to note, and this is something that you'll see across all of our AI assistants, there's this thumbs up and thumbs down button at the bottom of the chatbot box. This is a way for you to provide feedback instantaneously to the model if it's answering the question properly or incorrectly. This will really help us improve these AI assistants over time. So if you're liking the answers you're getting, smash that like button. If you're not, put that thumbs down. It'll really help us improve these for all of your users over time. So the next assistant I'd like to cover is the ArcGIS Pro Assistant. This assistant is currently in beta, and it's a little bit different configuration than what you see in the ArcGIS Online assistants. This will be a separate download that you install to your ArcGIS Pro instance in order to gain access to it. Within this assistant, there's 4 main pieces that you can utilize. One being the Explore ArcGIS Pro documentation. There's a fancy little question box right at the top of the screen that helps you search for commands, search for documentation, whatever it might be, and help you with your workflows. It also helps you generate query layers through SQL expressions and knowledge graph open cipher queries. And it's something a little bit more advanced is the ability to even trigger common actions within ArcGIS Pro. So how do you get started with the Pro Assistant? So currently this is in a public beta, so you would have to be part of the early adopter program. If you're not aware of what the early adopter program is, it is a feedback program designed to get the latest technology into our customers' hands before it gets that first release. You'll be able to download the add-ins and view all of the documentation on how to use this, how to install it, and really get started with utilizing the ArcGIS Pro Assistant. So how does this look in ArcGIS Pro? So here in this project, I've got tornado data from 1950 to 2022, almost 70,000 data points in this data set. By going to the Help tab, we can open the AI Assistant. From here, you have the option to start a new conversation or even load an existing conversation if you want to revisit some queries that you generated in the past. In this case, let's create a query layer. We'll select our database, select the table, and start asking questions of the assistant. So I want to create a query layer of only the tornadoes over EF3. So we want to look at some of the more damaging and harmful tornadoes. Similar to the documentation assistant, it'll, again, start generating that SQL query for you. We can quickly add this query to the map and see our tornadoes over EF3 in those gray-black dots. This assistant similarly has the ability to give a good response or bad response, and it also provides you with an explanation. Something that's really cool about how this one worked is in the attribute table, there's not a field that's designated as EF. It's designated as magnitude or MAG in the data. The assistant was able to notice that and determine that that is the proper field to generate this query off of. So that was a pretty simple one, but let's dive into a little bit more complex of a query. So to do this, we'll add another reference layer. So we'll add in our states layer and then ask the assistant to show me all tornadoes that occurred in the year 2000 or later that intersect the state of Florida. So once again, the assistant will look through our data and start writing that SQL query for us to generate a new view layer. Who's drawing on my screen? How do I stop that? Let's disable that. Well, it's disabled, but I don't know how to make it go away. Not used to Zoom. So we can see here that this is a much more involved SQL query that involves intersecting, joining, and filtering the data all at once. So once again, we can add this to the map and view all of those tornadoes that occurred after the year 2000 that intersect the state of Florida. This is really powerful stuff, especially for some of those newer GIS users in your organization. They might not understand how to write these more complex SQL queries. This allows them to talk to their data in natural language and very quickly get actionable knowledge and data out of their data sets. Let's flip back over here. I'm going to try to stop sharing and reshare and see if that annotation goes away. Yes, there we go. So another powerful piece of the Pro Assistant is the ability to generate graph queries for ArcGIS knowledge from natural language. For those of you that are not familiar with ArcGIS knowledge, it is an additional server capability that can be added to your ArcGIS Enterprise environment for graph analytics. It's going to store data in entities and relationships and really look at the interconnectivity between your different data points. In this case, we have a knowledge graph of a very large ArcGIS Enterprise deployment. And you see we've got 6,000 entities and nearly 20,000 relationships between all of the servers and items in this deployment. Looking at it in a knowledge graph doesn't really provide us any actionable intelligence. It's quite a mess, to be honest. So that's where the assistant comes into play. We can generate a graph query and ask the assistant something simple at first. So let's look for all of the items owned by a particular user. ArcGIS knowledge does not use your traditional SQL coding language. It uses open cipher queries, which look quite different. And so for a normal GIS user, they're pretty daunting at first. The assistant will again look at our data, generate our open cipher query, and we can quickly add it to our investigation. And when we apply that query, we can see all 40 items or so that this user owns within that enterprise deployment. Now, the assistant can also parse through more complex requests as well. In this case, we're not really seeing any relationships. We're just seeing a list of the items owned by my colleague. Let's start to ask the assistant something more complex. So here we, ooh, go back. So what we're going to look for now is all of the items and users that are involved in groups that are shared with specific groups and all of the services that are within those groups that are being shared. We also are going to then dive deeper and limit this query to only one specific server instance. So if we need to take that machine down for maintenance, we want to see all of the items and all of the users that could be affected by that downtime in this enterprise environment. The assistant will again start to look through this and parse through that natural language, and then provide us this more complex open cipher query. Adding it to our current investigation, if we were to use this query just as the assistant provided to us, it would just return us 5 different lists of all of those different item types. So using a little bit of open cipher knowledge, we can modify this query and really get the results that we wanted. So in this case, we will wrap the entire query in a new variable. And then return that variable. So this will then start to show those different intertwined relationships between all of the items on that machine. We can now see our relationships and quickly add these to a new link chart. So this is now a much more digestible view of this enterprise environment that we can actually go and reach out to only a handful of users rather than the entire organization when we take that machine down for maintenance. This is just one example of how ArcGIS knowledge can be used, but we're also seeing it, these workflows being applied to other use cases like land record ownership, crime data, and more. The ArcGIS Pro Assistant is also very extensible. So you can write custom AI functions for the assistant to complete. So say take a list of registered skills, a user has a common workflow that they do every day. The assistant can be trained to perform that task, saving your users time in the long run. The next assistant is the business analyst assistant, which is currently in preview. I really love this one because it provides so much data to users just by talking in that natural language. Currently, this is available in ArcGIS Online, again, in preview form. So in Business Analyst, with AI assistance enabled, you'll see the Business Analyst assistant in the upper right corner. If you don't like where that is, you can change this in your settings, but this is the default view. Opening the assistant, we'll see some suggested prompts. So maybe we want to map income or create a report. Let's start with something simple. So map income in Pinellas County, Florida. Gotta love conference Wi-Fi. Okay, so let's ask the assistant, map income in Pinellas County, Florida. And these prompts are really great, especially for those newer GIS users. It makes it easy. You change something in the green and you start to get that response very quickly from the assistant. So we will generate this. look at our different variables. So it'll give you the best fit in the initial response, but it'll also provide you some other business analyst demographic variables that you can include in your analysis. So we'll look at per capita income and create our map. By default, it'll display by block group, but over on the left-hand side, we can change that level of detail very quickly. Maybe we want to look at it by zip code or by full census tract. And in the bottom, you will see some summary results. So it really very quickly can get your users answering questions about your geographies. So maybe we want to advance this analysis further. So compare income to median age in Pinellas County. The assistant will then, again, provide you the variables. We'll look at our median age and add that to our map. Now we're going to have the ability to compare between that age and income very quickly. So this is one example of how the business analyst assistant can be used, but let's also take a look at doing some nearby analysis. Show me coffee shops within Largo, Florida. It'll add our area of interest to the map. We can very quickly add these POIs to our map. When adding point of interest data, it's important to look at all of the different data sources. So by default, it's going to connect to our data axle data source, but we also have SafeGraph and Foursquare data in there as well. So if you're not seeing all of the results that you want in one, highly recommend to check out the others as well to get a full picture of your analysis. Another assistant that we've been working on is the Story Maps assistant. This is currently out in beta. It's designed to help you make your stories more accessible, even analyze your text to get what the summary is, and even help you write. So it can help you refine your tone, suggest themes, and eventually we'll even be able to translate right within the AI assistant within Story Maps. The Survey 123 assistant is also currently in preview. I'm sure many of you have heard about some of the advancements in Survey 123, and it's really powerful. The assistant is a chatbot that helps you create and draft survey designs. So a user that's never used Survey 123 can provide a prompt in natural language to the assistant and very quickly generate a survey form to go out and collect data. The assistant can also translate your surveys into other languages. So if you've got a diverse population, you can quickly generate a form in English and Spanish or other languages that your residents might be speaking. On top of the AI assistant in Survey 123, we also have AI analysis tools that are currently in beta. So these are AI-powered form calculations that help you extract information from images using a vision language or a computer vision model, or analyze text. And now in beta, we can also transcribe audio. So if your users don't want to type out a full description of an asset, they're able to very quickly speak into their phone, and the assistant will transcribe that and extract valuable information from it. So what does this look like in action? So in Survey 123, before you start using the AI assistants, you'll want to go to the Organization tab and go to your settings. In the extensions on the left, you'll want to make sure that both the Survey 123 assistant, which is currently in preview, and the analysis tools that are in beta are enabled. Since both of these are enabled, I can start generating a new survey. We will start with the survey 123 assistant and begin generating our form. So in this case, we'll ask it to create a form for collecting information about park assets. The assistant will very quickly generate a form for you. We can inspect what our questions look like. It's got a photo in there. Love that. We'll leave that in there. Maybe I also want to have it add a question or delete a question. You can continue talking to the assistant in natural language to expand on your form and improve it. Add a question to record audio of the asset's current condition. Again, the assistant will very quickly add our new question into the form. The form looks pretty good. Let's maybe take it a step further. I've got some Spanish-speaking employees that are going to be collecting data for us for this project. Translate the form to Spanish. And almost instantly, you now have that survey 123 form in Spanish. I know a couple of words in there, but I can't speak Spanish. So let's flip it back over to English. So now we're ready to publish our form. Similar to our other assistants, you also have the copy, positive, and negative feedback buttons. Very quickly, we've got a survey 123 form for our users to collect data. So we do have these photo questions in here. So let's take a look at how we can start to utilize the computer vision model within your survey 123 forms as well. So let's add a new single line text question for asset type. And we will edit the calculation here. So we will select our photo, use the Analyze Image property, and click Continue. Now in natural language, we can start to ask questions and extract data from the photos taken by our users. So let's look at description of the asset. Please keep it brief. So in this case, the assistant will look at that image, start to extract that information, and try to keep it to a few words for the response. So this is powerful for extracting imagery. And currently, we're just in the traditional Survey 123 website. But by switching over to the beta site, we can get access to a few more capabilities within the Survey 123 assistant. So similarly to the extraction of imagery insights, let's add some multi-line text underneath our audio description. And we will have the assistant transcribe this. Once again, we'll select our calculation, select our audio question, and transcribe the audio. Within the transcription, you can also improve the quality of the transcript. So if you've got a MUTCD code for a sign or something that will have numbers, you can write some of those in here in order for the assistant to actually write it out 1, 2, 3 rather than spelling 1, 2, 3. So that question looks pretty good. We can also then add one more question for the audio sentiment. We can once again add a calculation. This time we'll point to our audio transcription and we can analyze the text that the assistant provided us. Describe the sentiment from the user. So this looks pretty good. We can go ahead and publish this survey now. But in the interest of time, I've got a similar form that I had created already ready to use. So we can, again, upload our image photo, grab our park asset. The assistant will begin to analyze that image. So in this case, we're looking at a pet waste station in a park. The description, pet waste disposal station with trash can and dog bag dispenser. The asset condition is good. It's pretty powerful that this is able to just very quickly extract that from your images. So let's maybe take another look at this and then give it an audio description. So overall, the condition looks great, but the bag's not installed right. I can't use it. So let's record our audio. Overall, the condition looks great, but the bag is not installed properly, so I can't use it. The assistant will very quickly transcribe the audio and then also give our sentiment. So in that case, it's not great, but it's also not terrible. Pretty powerful stuff with this Survey 123 assistant. So that was a pretty simple example of extracting data from those images. Let's take a look at what you could do for extracting images, extracting information from a sign collection survey. So in this case, we've got a no turn on red sign. Looks like there's some damage there. And the assistant will populate every question in the survey. So this really saves your users time in the field and also prevents them from accidentally mistyping. It'll pull the type of sign, the MUTCD code. I don't know if everyone's looked at that book of all of those, but it is large. It is not fun to try to figure out which sign is which code. It'll also look at the percentage of paint missing, provide the sign text, the sign material, even how many signs are on this post. So that was a pretty simple sign example. Let's look at one that's a little bit more complex and see how the assistant can do. So in this case, we'll grab another sign photo, which has quite a lot going on there. So there's 3 signs that are actually on the post and this kind of funny one hanging off to the side that's not going to be within the traditional MUTCD codes for the signs. The assistant will again look at that image and analyze it. So it was able to pull parking regulation and snow route signs. For the signs that have an MUTCD code, it was able to pull those. It'll give you the condition. It'll start to extract the sign text. Again, giving the number of signs. And this is kind of interesting. It gave us 3 signs. There were 3 signs directly on the post, but there was that funny looking one hanging out to the side. So AI assistants are not always going to be perfect, but they'll get you 80, 90% of the way there. They're not designed to completely replace your work. They're just to enhance the work that you guys are doing. So this is another assistant that I'm actually quite excited for. Some of our coding assistants. Currently in the ArcGIS Online map viewer, you have access to the Arcade Assistant today. We also, within the Pro Assistant install, include the Python Assistant, and this will be coming to ArcGIS Online through notebooks in the near future as well. Let's take a look at how the Arcade Assistant can be used. So this is going to be a powerful tool to help you enhance your web maps. And for those of you that are not familiar with Arcade, it's Esri's lightweight scripting language that enables you to create dynamic pop-ups, labels, field calculations, and more throughout the entire ArcGIS ecosystem. If you're not used to scripting or haven't used a language in a while, it can be somewhat intimidating to try to get in there and start writing these scripts. That's where the Arcade Assistant comes in to help. In this map, we've got the weather watches and warnings throughout the entire US coming from the Living Atlas. We also have another reference layer of USA structures that we'll touch on a little bit later. Zooming into an area with some current weather, we can start to try to gain a little bit more information about our data set. Just looking at these weather watches and warnings with symbology is quite confusing. There's hundreds of different weather watches and warning types in here. So let's add a label to our layer. So at first looks pretty good. It shows us the high wind warning, but with these weather watches and warnings, they're not always going to be in effect immediately. So let's start to add some additional properties to our label class. So we can click on the Arcade button. It's my Arcade Assistant. Let's refresh this page. Layer. And try again. So now here in the Arcade pop-up, you'll see the Arcade Assistant button over on the right-hand side of your screen. It'll give you a pop-up explaining that this is in beta. And then you can start talking to this assistant again in natural language. So let's start with something simple. Label the type of warning, and in a new line, include the effective time. We can generate our response. And the assistant will end up returning the code response to that natural language that we provided. It'll give us the profile context, as well as the layer that we're adding this pop-up or this labeling for. We can quickly add it to the editor. So maybe you're already working on an Arcade script and you're just stuck on a single part. You could add it to the editor after the existing code that you've got written there, or replace all of the code in the editor. We can run this, and that looks pretty good. Let's take a look at what this looks like in our map. So now we're getting the high wind warning and our start time, but an everyday user might not know, or the person that didn't configure this might not know that we're talking about the start time of the event in that label. So let's adjust our Arcade script a little bit. And where did my assistant go again? I blame conference Wi-Fi. Gotta love single sign-on that's not so single. Okay, now third time's the charm. Let's get this working. So once again, we will add our labels and start asking the assistant some questions. So we had started with just on a new line, add that start time. So let's do label the type of warning, and on a new line, include a word start in bold for the effective time. Once again, we can generate our code, and the assistant will quickly provide us that code response. We can add it to our editor and run. That looks pretty good, but what if we can start trying to ask even more complex questions of the assistant? So remember that USA structures reference layer that I mentioned earlier? Let's ask the assistant to label the type of warning and the number of structures within the feature from the USA structures layer. Once again, we can generate and inspect our response. So in this case, this is a great learning opportunity for any of your users. So it'll generate the response, but it's also going to give us this pop-up warning. So the generated code includes a profile variable or functions that don't exist within that labeling profile. If you're not familiar with Arcade, each profile has specific variables and global variables that you're able to utilize. So in this case, the labeling function, the labeling profile does not include this $map function. So while we can't add this to our labels, we can add this within our pop-up. So we can open our pop-ups, add a new arcade block, and once again, open our assistant. So here we want it to calculate the number of structures within the feature from the USA structures layer. And add the result with structures affected in bold for the number in the pop-up. We can once again generate our response and end up adding this to our pop-up. We can view that code, add it to the editor, test it. If the internet cooperates, and bring it to the top of our pop-up. So very quickly, we now can see the number of structures affected by that weather watch or warning. So pretty powerful stuff. This can also be applied in the symbology as well. So if you want to create some arcade expressions for your symbology, the assistant can also help you there. We've got a great blog post on the Arcade Assistant. And I can share this with everyone after as well. But that QR code will take you to this blog post that describes some of the different functions that you can perform within the Arcade Assistant. So overall, AI assistants are designed to help you get the best and most out of ArcGIS. You are always in control when utilizing these assistants. You can even configure your own AI assistant apps with some instant app templates that are in beta, or the hub site assistant that's also in beta. Many of these are available now for testing, and we're going to be continuing to release more in the future. Now, AI usually is that buzzword that gets IT screaming and squirming sometimes. So we've added to our trust site these things called AI transparency cards. So going to trust.arcgis.com, you can view the trusted AI section of the site. This describes overall how our AI assistants have been created and where they appear throughout the ArcGIS ecosystem. Each assistant that's in production will have one of these transparency cards associated with it. And it will show the feature functionality, the data sources, the validation and risk mitigation. All of those questions that your IT department is likely asking you can be found in these transparency cards. Currently, we have 3 that are available in the business analyst assistant, the survey 123 assistant, and the translation assistant. But our teams are working on all of those other transparency cards that you can see denoted by the yellow icon on the left. So we've talked a lot about AI assistants and interacting with your data in natural language in that chatbot type form. But this is also appearing in ArcGIS Pro as well to perform different analysis workflows. So in this case, we have some drone imagery from Lee County after Hurricane Milton. Inspecting these images, I mean, we can definitely see some damage from likely a tornado or some wind event in these areas. We've got our building footprints in the map, and using the vision language classification pre-trained model that's available in the Living Atlas, we can perform analysis on this imagery in natural language. So we can pass that model definition, again, available for download from the Living Atlas, provide our classes, in this case, 0 to 100% for percent damage, and provide a little bit of additional context in natural language. So buildings were affected by a hurricane. Classify this by damage. And by passing through our AI connection file to OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, we can quickly perform a damage assessment on these roughly 40 structures in about 4 minutes. Inspecting some of the results, it looks like it's done a great job. So we can select, say, this one that was 70% damage. The assistant or the model will provide you the class label as well as the confidence. So it's very confident in its response to that structure. But it also will provide you the reasoning behind that damage classification level. In this case, It shows significant roof damage with visible missing shingles. Areas have tarps over top of it to protect the building that was damaged. So that one did pretty good, but this is another one of those examples of the AI might not always be right. So looking at this structure, it gave it a 55% damage level. But looking at our imagery, we can see that that structure was completely lifted off of its foundation. Pretty sure that's a little bit more than 55% damaged. So once again, these AI tools will get you that 80% of the way there, but you'll still have to do that QA/QC work. This is another interesting structure here with 30% damage. The assistant was able to, the model was even able to notice that it's got blue tarps. This is really powerful stuff. If you guys have imagery of your entire area after a storm, find all the structures with tarps. Boom, you know where you need to send people to go and start performing that damage assessment. So overall, ArcGIS is becoming a geospatial AI platform. So we saw a little bit of Geo AI, we saw a lot of AI assistance, and also AI agent workflows, which we have within the beta instant app template and the hub site assisting. I wanted to leave you with a few resources. So on the left, this story map is a fantastic one that one of our colleagues put together that outlines all of the different AI assistants and Geo AI workflows. It will look a little bit like this. So tap into the AI in the ArcGIS system. It'll go through the Pro Assistant, Survey 123, story maps, a little bit of everything. So this is a great place to get started on your AI assistance journey. We also have quite a few blog posts in the Esri blog. There's one specifically about prompting. When working with these AI assistants, getting the right prompt is the toughest thing at first. You're not always going to get the proper results when you're not using proper prompting. And it's not always complete natural language. You've got to know how to ask the questions in order to get the proper response. Does anyone have any questions? I know that was a lot, and we covered a ton of different topics. Yep.
First, is it possible? The analysis, like if it's telling me the condition of something's good, I'm saying no, that's fair. You know, is it possible to tweak that, or can we also like train an entirely new categorization of something? And is that coming to field maps, like the Florence field maps by chance?
I do not believe it's coming to field maps. I've not heard anything about that. It's just going to be Survey 123 for now. On the image classification, are you talking in Survey 123 or in like Pro imagery analysis? So that one, not really, but the model learns over time. So if you're noticing things that are not reading properly, you can reach out to the Survey 123 team and provide feedback for it, and they can work to tweak the model.
But there's no way to directly send it into the.
No, but you can custom train a model and use it within the Survey 123 field app. So if you want to take thousands of images and train a model yourself to look for one specific piece, you can do that and then utilize it right within Survey 123. Yes.
For the AI assistants, like we're looking at we have third-party integrations with CityWorks, and we're looking at SAP DataSphere as well. How is AI in Esri, because you guys have a lot of partnerships with people, how are they going to be able to run like SQL queries and so on and so forth with the AI assistants or third-party data that's coming?
So if you've got that third-party data in Pro, you can run it on that. So as long as it's in a database, like say SQL or Postgres, you can run the assistant on any database right within the Pro interface. We do have some partners that are exploring their own versions of AI as well, like Data Miner, one of our threat hazard analysis partners. They're building their own AI agent that will do a little bit of GIS on the back end as well. Yes.
Survey 123 stuff, Michelle, that the voice transcription be available in Survey 123 Connect?
Currently, no, you would have to have your own model for that. It's available in the web designer at the moment. Any other questions? Yes.
I know this is way premature, but any plans to bring this in enterprise GIS?
Yes, there are. I'm not sure of the release timeline, but the team is working on bringing, I know the business analyst, I believe, potentially at 12, but we are working to bring that functionality into enterprise as well.
The AI photo thing, is that available through Field Maps as well?
Just survey 123. But you could link from field maps to a survey 123 form to then take advantage of that functionality. From what I'm aware of, yes, at the moment. I'm not sure if we'll be able to go down to the granular. You can use survey 123, but you can't use business analyst. If that's something that would benefit you, I would recommend going to the Esri community site and adding a page or a note in there, because that's a great way to get your ideas in front of the product teams. Awesome. Well, thank you guys, everyone, for having me. If anyone has any additional questions, feel free to reach out.